This is Lauren Burke. This is Lauren Live. Oh, yeah. This is Lauren Burke. This is Lauren Live. And talking about Jasmine Crockett, the Texas primaries next week, Tuesday, March 3rd. And there's been a ton of talk about this primary, to say the least. It is a rolling breaking news event, and has been for months. There's been a lot of bickering back and forth within the Democratic Party over this primary, over race, over style, over all sorts of things. I will run part of the open, go back and check the audio, and be back in a few seconds. So, what has been going on in this Texas race is that the bickering back and forth about who's electable has gotten hugely out in front as one of the main issues of the race. Who can win Texas? What Democrat can win Texas? What style of Democrat can win Texas? James Talarico, of course, is running against Jasmine Crockett. They are expected to run against someone who is not John Cornyn on the Republican side. John Cornyn, who's the incumbent in the Senate right now, is in trouble running against the AG Bill Paxton and another candidate who is, I think, unlikely to win. But the point here is that this is going to be a race that decides control of the U.S. Senate next year. The Democrats are now looking at the Senate as a viable option to control, which was not really in the conversation as it had been for the House. I mean, it is basically understood that the Democrats are going to win the U.S. House, if unless, of course, the Republicans and Donald Trump try to steal it. Because I think that's their only option. And when they're raiding ballot boxes in Fulton County, it does give you the feeling that they are going to try to steal it. They know they're in huge trouble. The president's polling numbers are way, way, way underwater. The history is against them. They are running up against a stiff headwind, and of course, the terrible poll numbers of Donald Trump. You have over 50 people retiring from Congress because they hate it. It is a pain in the neck. Nobody can get anything done, and the Republicans understand it can only get worse from here. About 20 hours ago, it looks like. So, the University of Texas did a poll that showed Jasmine Crockett at 56% and James Talarico at 44. Now, there's been all sorts of polls all over the place for this race. And, you can see at the very end here, you're going to get some polls that are, quite frankly, BS. I don't know that this is one of them, by the way. I think this poll, I mean, I don't know. I will just say that, I've seen some polls where, oh, wow, Talarico is suddenly surging. Yeah, because now the desperate hours begin. Talarico was on Stephen Colbert less than 10 days ago. I think that was certainly part of the push to get him out there. But Crockett has been polling ahead in a lot of these polls. A lot of these polls have Crockett ahead. And this, of course, has touched off a debate in the Democratic Party with regard to who is electable and who is not. And of course, that comes down a lot of times. It's funny how these gender people who come out on other issues never seem to show up when it's a black woman who's centered in the conversation. But you would think that now and Emily's List and all of those groups would come out and defend Crockett, because she is being criticized as not being able, not, oh, she's not electable, she's not this, she's not that. I don't know where they're getting that from, because no Democrat has been elected in Texas statewide for, since Ann Richards, and all of a sudden now Jasmine Crockett is the big problem. So that is really weird, frankly. But there's this idea that the Republican light version of Democrats is what works, and that's why Talarico is, out here as the it boy for a lot of these Democrats who, frankly, I think lean to the right, and they want a right-leaning candidate. Their prescription for the Democratic Party is to have candidates who are more Republican. That's pretty much what it is, and they can't deny that. I mean, it always comes back to that. There was a really good commentary by Gary Chambers, who ran for statewide office in Louisiana, on Jasmine Crockett. And it was quite candid. It was very candid. He went there, and he went there hard. as the microphone falls. He went there really, really hard. And basically, what happened there was he said, look, the Democrats really, frankly, don't want to elect somebody black who has any sort of personality. And, what's going on here is that if you have any sort of personality, they figure out ways to be against your candidacy. That's just what it is. I tend to agree with him on that. His level of candor when he was talking about that was pretty intense, as it should have been, because at some point somebody just needs to say it. A lot of these Democrats do not want black elected officials, particularly in these higher offices. What you find across the board is the higher you go up, the harder it is as a black Democrat to make it, the harder it is to find support. That's something that has been seen for years. Jasmine Crockett is the star of the Democratic Party. So it is really strange that there was all this pushback against her, because you would think that the reaction would have been, hey, wait a minute. This is a rising star in the Democratic Party. It looks like she would do well on the national stage. She's defended the party's position well. She's pushed back against Trump really well. Why would we stop her from being a member of Congress, a member of the US Senate? And what I say to that, of course, is that the harder it is. Simple as that. The competition rises, which it should rise for everybody. I don't care, black, white, or anything else. The competition is going to rise. Um, but it's also too that people want certain types of people, and Tallarico fits the description of what a lot of these Democrats want to see. They want to see somebody that, oh, you're talking about Jesus all the time and quoting the Bible, and you're kind of Republican light in your affect, and why would we have this woman, who talks really fast, and she's I can't find the video, so I'm looking. Trying to find a Chambers video, talks really fast and has all this sort of urban feel to her, as they put it, and that for me was like, are you kidding me? This woman is a great messenger. She amplifies the party's position really well, and yet it's still not enough. It's still not enough. It's never enough, when it's a black candidate. I would just remind everybody that when Barack Obama came along, it was the same thing. Who is this guy? Who does he think he is? What's going on here? There was criticism all over the place about what he was doing. And, oh, how dare he think that he could come up and, challenge the Clintons. That was Barack Obama, who's a pretty freaking bougie, dude that comes up. He went to Harvard Law, that whole thing checks all those boxes, and still, nah, we're not really into this guy. He's not the right type of guy. Let's do the old school thing and do some, elect somebody else. Like, it doesn't matter what style of black person it is. There's always going to be the feel of, nah, this shouldn't be the person. I don't care what anybody says. Like, we've seen this so many times, and it never really changes that much, no matter what type of person it is, type of black person, what their education is, or anything else, or how they talk, or any of that. It's the same thing over and over and over again. So, at any rate, I'm not a big believer that it would matter if it's Jasmine Crockett or the second coming of Barack Obama who showed up for this seat. She's going to have people who are against her, and who are going to figure out ways to be against her. And there's this push in the background for Tallarico, like I have never seen. I mean, it's like everything is about James Tallarico, and he's this and he's that, and he's so amazing. He's good. He's a good candidate. There's nothing wrong with James Tallarico, but it is interesting what they pick, who they want, why they want the person. And it really just comes down to Republican light. I don't care what anybody says. It comes down to Republican light. It comes down to a Democrat who is really sort of cosplaying as a Republican. I mean, I just there's no way that you're going to convince me that that's not what this is, because we've seen it across the party. And a lot of times what people do is they'll run to the right. They'll run to the right, but they will govern to the left. I think we're seeing a little bit of that from Governor Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, where she ran to the center and got a bunch of votes, and then gets into office and basically does exactly what any typical Democrat would do. But it's hard to, it's hard to tell. I mean, you do have to run. You can't run all the way right and all the way left usually in any of these races. But it is funny that the MAGA Republicans say to themselves, "Oh no, I'm going to run hard to the right with no shame, and I don't care who knows it and anything else. That's what I'm doing." They don't make any apologies for running right. The Democrats are always making apologies for running right. The Democrats are always acting like, we really can't act like real Democrats and say the real things. And that makes no sense really at a time when we have an extreme president of the United States. I mean, it's like, if you can't say it now, like, when can you say it? When can you run progressive? If you can't run progressive now, when? When is that time? When does that time ever come? And it feels like to me that time never comes. There's always this excuse or reason or whatever. And I actually think people are just scared to take hard positions that are that are to the that are to the left, that are to the progressive left. So what ends up happening is that you get what we're getting right now, which is just sort of this idea that, oh my goodness, it's got to be Tallarico. It's just got to be Tallarico. We gotta have James Tallarico, right? That is just what it is, And I'm like amazed at the dismissiveness of the Crockett campaign and the people who are against it and the people who are saying things like, well, she can't win. And, oh, I think she's nice and everything, but this isn't really going to work. And, this isn't the candidate. And yeah, we really like her, but, I don't know. I don't know that this is going to happen. I mean, it's the same variety of, they like you until you start getting more power. Everybody likes Black Democrats until they start trying to get more power. They start trying to rise up in the party. It's as simple as that. And everybody advises Black Democrats, hey, why don't you run for school board? Why don't you run for city council? I mean, Black Democrats hear that all the time. One of the reasons I'm doing this live so early is that I got to go to a political event, another 40 minutes at the U.S. Capitol. And I'll be talking to a bunch of politicos about this very thing, because this is the thing. People are dissuaded all the time from running for office. And I hear it all the time. And I always tell people, just run. Stop listening to people telling you that you can't do something and just run. And I get there's a lot of, for non-establishment candidates in particular, there's a lot of pushback. You're going to have to have your own money. You're going to have to really be deliberate about, how you fund your race. But at the end of the day, no one is going to encourage, typically speaking, nobody encourages Black candidates. It's just like, unless there's some political reason in the background to do it, they don't really encourage Black candidates that much. So if you're waiting for encouragement, you're going to be waiting for a very long time. So you might as well just go for it. There's a lady, this interview.
Yes, we need a fighter. Yes, we need a fighter. And I was so ready to vote for Jasmine Crockett because I love her. But I voted for Tallarico because we need somebody who can win. Yes, we need a fighter. And I was so ready to vote for Jasmine Crockett because I love her. But I voted for Tallarico because we need somebody who can win. Yes, we need a fighter.
And of course, this is what, we probably would have heard if Tallarico was Beto O'Rourke. We probably would have heard the same thing. Remember, Beto O'Rourke was oh my goodness, Beto O'Rourke, and he's riding a skateboard and he's got really good social media and his social media is over 2 million and all that stuff. And he lost. And that was, if you're going to tell me that was your model candidate, which to me he's a very energetic candidate. He had all the progressive positions. He was out there, he was doing his thing, and he lost. They've run every style of Democrat. And I agree. The only good Republican is Thomas Massie. I totally agree with that. I talk to him all the time. He's a very interesting member of Congress. At any rate, and he's in a tough primary challenge because of Donald Trump. But at any rate, we've seen every style of Democrat lose in Texas. So I don't know what people are talking about, that Crockett is the only one that would lose. Give me a break. I mean, I think that this is a hard state for any Democrat to win. And that's just what it is, it has nothing to do per se with race, gender, or anything else. It's hard for Democrats to win in Texas. And that's just the way it's been for quite a long time. And the question is, can she win? I think she certainly can win the primary, but the question is, can she win the general? And when you have a situation politically where Donald Trump is really driving the poll numbers down of the entire Republican Party, that is going to be hard for the Republicans to overcome. It's going to be very hard for them to overcome. I don't know that they can overcome it, as a matter of fact, because the president's polling numbers are absolutely historically low in a way that nobody has seen before, ever. And you saw Gallup Gallup polling decided, oh, now we're not going to do, the the polling of the approvals of the president. Yeah, because we're scared to do it because now we know that the president's going to get mad at us if we do. Jesus. If we do, if we do more polling, we're going to find out that his numbers are extremely low, which of course they are. And that's what we're gonna find out, and everybody knew that. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew that it just gets worse from here, and people get so scared of Donald Trump so that they just decide not to talk about the subject at all, which is exactly what they did, which is crazy. But I'm telling you right now, the Jasmine Crockett thing is a real moment, a real test in the Democratic Party with regard to how Black candidates are treated and what happens when they decide to run for office. It's like all of a sudden we get all this pushback and oh my goodness, and can't be her and this and that. And Jasmine Crockett is just on another level of messaging. She is the type of new wave messenger the party needs. And they don't like the fact that I think some Democrats don't like the fact they can't keep up with her style of messaging. They can't duplicate it and they can't keep up with it. I mean, that's part of what's going on here. I'm going to give a little example before I depart.
This country, we haven't had half as many hearings about guns as we've had on voting rights. And every time we seemingly have a hearing on voting rights, we talking about the fact that people are cheating. So let's talk about who's cheating. I got a few articles. Are you familiar with the fact that there was recently a settlement with this little news company called Fox News?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was for about $780 something million. Was it because they were lying about the elections?
Yes, it was for a.
Okay, there we go. I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna keep going. There also was this article because I don't want us to base anything on Georgia at all. Please, Jesus, not Georgia. Okay, because Georgia purged 87,000.
Will the gentlewoman yield?
I
think Georgia matters.
I will not yield. I am reclaiming my time. All right, so there were 87,000 people that were purged that were legitimate voters. So no, we don't want to copy off of Georgia. Also, another GOP voter admits he committed fraud. Another one in Pennsylvania, man who admits he voted for Trump with his dead mom's name because he listened to too much propaganda.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
This country, we haven't had.
She went through the voter fraud rolls there. That was pretty funny. Okay, so at any rate, everybody's always talking about voter fraud until you want to talk about voter fraud, and then we're hitting the gavel because, oh wow, now it's all happening in red states and stuff like that. So at any rate, Jasmine Crockett, I'm going to do several more lives on Jasmine Crockett because it's a huge race. It's a huge race, and again, it's going to tell us a lot about where the Democratic Party stands in the era of Trump, how the Democratic Party establishment wants to fight, and where exactly everybody stands on the question of the definition of what is a Democrat. We sure as hell can define what is a MAGA Republican. We have no problem defining that. Question is, can you define, what a Democrat is in this moment? And here we go again with it's, moderate Democrats versus progressive Democrats. You see it every time. It never fails. Says Lauren Burke, read Black Virginia News. I'll be back very soon. There's a lot happening in the city of Martinsville, Virginia. Probably going to do a live on that because that is Martinsville, Virginia has decided to to void an election and remove their mayor with a petition of 375 votes. A Commonwealth's attorney and a judge has undone an election in Martinsville, Virginia. That's a very interesting situation to say the least. This is Lauren Burke. This is Lauren Live. I'll be back soon.
Somewhere. What's going on? Thank you. Are you watching now?
Yeah. No, I was watching when I left, but it's excellent. I love it. I love the traffic's blowing up. You were in Brooklyn last night. Where?
I was in Bushwick.
Okay, my grandmother's house is in Crown Heights.
Oh, yeah.
So when I saw you, I was trying to look at what the pizza place was to see where.
As soon as we got there, someone recognized the pizza place. They're like, we got to get out of here. Someone had
get out. It was great.
blown up our spot.
This show was freaking fantastic.
Thank you.
Love it. Love it, man. Love it.